rated games in Atari in California in 1974. Um, I worked on the line. I did a few things like a burn-in oven and a big test fixture that universally tested all their games. It had joysticks and a steering wheel and all that stuff. And it was kind of fun. And I was doing that for about a year. And Gene Lipkin, a guy that worked there, he was a vice president. He came up to me and he said, "Would you like to be in the pinball division?" I didn't even know there was going to be a pinball division. Nobody did. But I said yes, just because, well, I was interested. And I was also a pinball player since I was a kid. So I worked at Atari in the pinball prototype lab with a guy named Bob Jonasy, and he taught me how to lay out and build a pinball machine. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months, and then I thought, hey, you know what? I could do this. So I got a big blank piece of plywood and same size as the playfield, and made it like a portable drafting table so I could draw a game. And I learned the symbols and all that from Bob Jonasy's drawings. So I laid out a game, and it took me about a year while we were building the Atarian's Time 2000, which was the worst pinball machine ever made. Um, let's see, what else? I don't know. I may have been the third or the fourth. I'm not sure. Middle Earth was before me, I think. Anyway, uh, my boss said I could never be a pinball designer, but I worked on this game and I really liked it and I liked the idea. So I went to Nolan Bushnell, who was the president and founder of Atari. I said, I drew this thing at home. What do you think? And he goes, I think it looks pretty good. And I go, you think I could be a designer? And he goes, poof, you're a designer. He did. And then like, I don't know, a few days later, I had a big Hamilton drafting table and a Muto drafting machine. I remember them well. I mean, this was all hand drawn everything. So I actually started working on this game and made it and made Whitewoods. And this is my first meeting with a character named Eugene Jarvis, who we became good friends, and he was a software guy. He had worked on a couple of other Atari games, but we sort of teamed up on Airborne Avenger, and we got the thing done. This game is this wide. It's a ridiculously wide game, as many of the early Ataris were. I can talk about this about 30 seconds more, and that's it. Okay. What else can I say? We put it together. I think it sold like 3,400 units. I don't personally believe that, but that's the estimate on Pinside. And my royalty was $1 a game. Um, the second the second game I made there was Superman, and I didn't actually hang on for a second. I didn't I didn't actually build the game. Well, I'll just make a long story short. I got an offer at the end of Superman while I was near the end of the development to go to Williams, and I accepted that offer. And I brought Eugene with me. Eugene didn't accept it at that time because I don't know why, but you know. Anyway, I met these guys, Steve Kordek and Mike Stroll, and they were, I don't know, dynamic, interesting people. Uh, so I took the job. I went to, thank you. Left and right. Oh, thanks. I forgot to advance it. This is what happens when you don't sleep. Okay. Anyway, the art on the Airborne Avenger was George Opperman. Same with Superman. Uh, it was interesting. After making many, many games there at Atari with rotary solenoids, I begged them to start doing things like conventional pinball manufacturers do with linear solenoids and the displays in the back box. I don't know how they came up with the display in the lower arch where no one could see them except the player. But anyway, they let me do that, and Superman did pretty good. It did like 5,124 units sold, and I mention units sold because I'm in the pinball business. I love pinball, but I also know that you need to sell pinball machines for pinball to continue. And if it doesn't, I mean, if we're not selling games, pinball has died quite a few times in big cycles. And it's like, it's dangerous. So I try to think in terms of how many can we build? Will this satisfy as broad a base of people as possible? Will it be a fun game to many people rather than just a few? Is it the theme good and universal? I mean, I try to do all those things, but I'm often not allowed to do things. Sometimes managers and presidents make other choices for me, and it's kind of weird, but um, yeah, we deal with it. Okay, that's Superman. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this is my first what I call real pinball machine. I get to Williams, and there's this giant factory. I mean, at Atari, it's like pieces of wrought iron, where angle iron, where they're sliding the play fields down. There's absolutely no automation. There's nothing. It's poorly organized. And then I go to Williams and see how they really built pinball machines. And this company was a manufacturing company. That's different than what we have today. Even Stern. We are all assembly companies. We have many companies building components for us. Well, at Williams, raw steel, stainless steel, this high, and rolls would come in. It was ball guide material, and they'd cut it up, and then somebody would weld the feet on. It was so awesome because if you're designing a game and you go, oh, I can't have that foot there. I got to move it. So they chip it off or make me a whole new one with the foot in the right place. Within hours, I could get through, three or four different kinds of changes that I wanted to make to the game. Um, let's see here. Anyway, Flash was like, uh, it, it's the only game that I ever had that I had a napkin drawing for on the plane. And I wanted to call it Flash. And I went there with the thought that, hey, cars have 12 volts, so do we. When you hit the brakes, ooh, you get these bright lights. I wanted flashlights on the game. I wanted them to figure out how to make that happen. And it didn't mean just flipping a switch with 12 volts. It meant through much research that I didn't do, but electronic engineers did, was they found a way to heat the filament before they actually hit it with a big voltage. And that's what produced a flash lamp and a big bulb. So Flash had those in them. And then we also made a xenon flash tube box for the top of the game that lit up, God, it would light up this room. Um, it was pretty cool. Very few people probably even know about it, but it was an interesting device. Anyway, Flash is my best-selling game, and it's like, let's see what the numbers are. Oh yeah, 19,505 units. It took more than a year to make them all because Williams didn't have the capacity that they had later. Uh, anyway, it was a great game to be part of. Let me see if I can get this the page down here. Hey, finally. Okay. Yeah, the mechanical engineer was John Young. That guy taught me a lot. He was an interesting character, and well, he knew a lot about pinball mechanics, no doubt. It was programmed by Randy Pfeiffer. We did a nice thing, and when we were at Atari, Eugene and I messed with background sound, and I brought in an Echoplex unit, which I used. It was like a cheap Echo machine if you're a guitar player or whatever, and we started feeding sounds into it and playing the game at the same time. We thought, oh, this is unusual. Let's call it like an unorganized sound. But when we actually were able to produce the sound and increase the pitch, it became very, very, I don't know, just kind of compelling to play the game. Plus, it had the benefit of sort of advertising how badass you were on the pinball because it would have a higher and higher pitch the better you got or the further you got on that ball. Um, Interesting game. The artwork was done by Constantino and Janine Mitchell. I haven't seen them in years. I hope they're still around. I don't know where they are. Yeah, Flash was kind of a new kind of playfield design flow. I don't think there were any games. I don't know. I got my chops on Superman and Airborne Avenger. Airborne Avenger's dopey, okay? It's like made by a punk who didn't really know what he was doing. But I got my chops together on Flash, and I I had I don't know. I just sort of developed this smooth style of laying out shots. Um, After that, it was it broke the production record at Williams at the time. And they at Williams they asked me to make a wide body right after I finished. I think I spent 8 months on Flash. I mean, they take a lot longer now because they're so much more complex. But they wanted me to make a wide body game. Star Wars is like, I never really liked this game. I had a lot of trouble developing it. I hated the play field, and it had, lots of drop targets on it. When I came in, when people knew I didn't really like the play field, so they sort of joke with me, and on all the drop targets, they put stickers on that said pigs in space. And I just sort of dumped the whole whitewood and started over. Anyway, it was a wide body. It did pretty well. 5,503 machines were sold. I don't know why. I still don't. Okay, now we get into the big guns fun, and I don't mean big guns the game. Eugene finally came on board at Williams, and we were both very excited to work again. And we had, I came up with the name Firepower. I don't even know what it meant. It was like a space theme, and so we started working on Firepower, and I wanted to make it a multi-ball game, and there was no multi-ball mechanism. I mean, Bally had one, and their multi-ball games were dumb. I mean, all they did is put another ball out on the play field. You sink it in the hole, and there's no memory. There's nothing. But I mean, it was fun to play on Fireball. I liked multi-ball play on Fireball. But we wanted to make the first solid state game with memory and brains, at least to, I don't know. There's a lot of things that came up. Okay, for me, it was like I invented lane change, where you move an unlit light with the flipper buttons underneath the lanes at the top of the game or at the drain, anywhere you want to put lanes. It gives the player the opportunity to move an unlit lamp underneath the ball, right? Anyway, the first version was right-handed only. I could have done it both ways, but I didn't want to. And then we started getting into, other games that use both hands. Um, Eugene wrote incredible software. I mean, it's like he had to build the whole plan for individually maintaining player one, player two, player three ball stats. I mean, we couldn't knock the balls out and put them exactly where you had, but if you knocked one out, the hole would still be available, for the next player. It remembered all that stuff, and it was really cool to play multi-ball and get that build up at three balls releasing on the playfield simultaneously. It had not been done. Yes. Oh, thank you. Like I said, no sleep. I'm sorry. I wish I could blame it on someone, but I can't. Um, there were a lot of ideas on firepower that first time things for me. Um, uh, Eugene created a sound program during the game called G-Wave, and it was just awesome. He had a box, and it was a hexadecimal. I think it was 8 switches on it, and I could choose what sounds I wanted. And he also had input. Hey, I think we should put this here and put this there. And the sounds were awesome, and they were probably used at Stern for the next 5 or 6 games, including video games. You can hear them on Robotron, which was much later, and other games that video and pinball. Um, uh, Flash was Eugene's first Williams game, also. I invented the word multi-ball, and we got it trademarked. I also invented the word lock and assigned a green color to it. So when you see that on all these copycat machines, damn it, remember it was me. I'm just kidding. I sound like a crazy old man. I'm getting there. Uh, what else? Eugene filled it up with so much code. I know it doesn't look like much today compared to other games, but there was little dancing 1, 2, and 3 through the displays. He had like 3 bytes of code available that were empty when we were finished. That was it. He filled up the whole thing. And I think there was no game that even got close to that. And I mean, we had to expand memory and had to do a lot of things. Also, this was the second game with speech. I wanted to be the first game, but they said, let Gorgar be the first game. So I had 11 seconds to say everything in there. Fire, power, you are destroyed. All monotone so that we could reassemble them and say different things. 11 seconds, such a short time. However, that game was fun to make. One night we played it as a Whitewood, and we just knew that it was going to be a monster hit. And it was. And moving on to the next game. Uh, this is the world's first two-level machine, and I know on the I don't know on the International Pinball Database there's some reference to some very old trade stimulators with a level here and one there and one there. Well, you couldn't go back up. Could never go back up. They could only go down. So this was the first multi-level game with actually two levels that you could play and manipulate the ball and control it between the two levels. It was also multi-ball. In fact, I didn't make any games after that weren't multi-ball, and neither did anyone else. Uh, and for a while, Black Knight, all the companies started making two-level pinball machines. Um, and I don't know, that wasn't the big breakthrough. The big breakthrough was this character, I am the Black Knight. I don't know. It's like I did that, and thanks. That's the real old version. The new version goes, run home to Mother Maggot, and many other nasty things like, when does the actual fighting begin? Um, anyway, Black Knight was the first. I did this game with Larry DeMar. Uh, he came up with some cool stuff. Well, we both did. We worked together. The art was by Tony Ramone. We sold 13,075 units. I think we could have sold 20,000 if a certain man did not copy everything I had on my drawing and then leave Williams and go to Bally and build Flash Gordon. And our president wanted to kill him. We had to hold him back. Mike Stroll was angry. We were all angry. All right, that's water under the bridge. I invented a hurry up feature. When I say I invent, all I do is mutter, okay, and programmers end up making it happen. I don't. There's no work involved. It's just an idea from me, but it had value. And Larry, are you here? Oh, was Jackpot invented on Black Knight? I thought so. Okay. Anyway, we made this game. It was a pretty big hit. We sold 13,075 units, and it was fun to make. After that, everybody started moving towards video, and pinball numbers were going down and down. Couldn't sell as many pinballs. Video was rocking, and basically it was stealing the quarters at the arcades. And Larry and Eugene and everyone else, that I worked with started working on video games, and so they were gone. And I wanted to make a video game too, so I made Hyperball, which was something like Space Invaders, only 3D mechanical. It used 5/8 inch balls, and it had a great big solenoid down the bottom with a fan on it, and it could fire 6 balls a second from the center. The playfield was acrylic, plexiglass. You could scratch it, but you could also just buff it out really easily. And there were targets that you went under and made an opto circuit close, and targets that also went down into holes because the idea was to get the balls off the playfield after they scored. You didn't want to mess balls on the playfield. You could spell out different words. Ed Sahaki wrote the code. Also, it used a lot of Eugene sounds, but Ed really made it a powerful game that, I don't know, it was like intriguing. It was also the noisiest game I ever made, and it's not a pinball, I know that, but it sold 5,000 units, and that was a good thing. The next game I did was Highspeed with Larry DeMar. Nah, it was a big breakthrough game. It really was. We weren't selling a lot of games again. No, the cycle was down for pinball and up for video still. I remember going back there after leaving, and I left. I left Williams and went back to California and worked up a couple of video games. Anyway, the factory was kind of dark. That's what I remember. I think we were doing not much, and then space mission or space shuttle came out, and uh, that was a blip, no doubt about it. But high speed became like I don't know. Larry and I definitely let's say that we had a very intense relationship at that time. Larry, like me, has a strong personality, and but it didn't matter. We fought. The game won. I went through two whitewoods, and one whitewood was a big heavy change, and we had to talk about that. And it's like uh, it's it was worth the changes really. I don't remember exactly what we had, but I remember a figure eight of inserts and just a completely different playing game. Uh, Anyway, Larry invented for this a carryover jackpot where it would be there for the next player to pick up if they could, I don't know, those kinds of things kind of stimulate people to play the game more. And I invented automatic percentaging, which was pretty. At first it was kind of crude, but I knew that we had a computer and I knew that we could, uh, you know, add scores up and see what was going on. And automatic percentaging basically freed operators from having to go out and manually change their games with dip switches to change the replay scores. It would automatically do it. And the numbers that I picked weren't enough, but Larry was the brainchild behind the software and how to make it work, and he made it work very well. Everyone loved it in the industry. It became, a very standard thing, at least for Williams. I I know we got a patent on it, but I don't remember how long. It didn't seem like it was very long after that other companies were doing that. I don't know how they got away with that. Anyway, um, we also invented automatic switch healing. So if we had like a red, yellow, and a green light, and the target for the red was out, uh, you didn't need to get it anymore. After a few plays, the game would realize that switch is never being closed. So we'll take it out of the requirements. So a player doesn't have to hit that target in order to complete that feature. I think that was a pretty cool idea. I don't know. Anyway, here's an interesting story about high speed. An operator called me like in 1990, I think, maybe it was 92, and he goes, "Just want to say thank you for high speed. I have two high speeds, and they made $50,000." And I went, "Wow." And then he goes, "Each." That was cool. um, Past that, the next game was F-14 Tomcat, and Eugene had gone to video, but he was off it, and he he programmed this game. He was the senior programmer on this game. Also, Ed Boone, it was his first game, and I think I don't know. He was a crazy guy, fun to work with, nuts. Um, yeah, the mechanics were done by Greg Fitpold. The sound and the music were Chris Granner. I wrote a tune for it. I also wrote a tune for High Speed. I think High Speed might have been the first game to play a complete tune. Uh, F-14 played lots of tunes, and it's that was Chris Granner. Yeah, it was the first game with a kickback kicker pointed at the player's flippers. It was General Yagoff fighting back. Uh, Chris Granner arranged and produced a "Anchors Away" song at the very end if you want to replay. Very cool. And it had three rotating lights. If one rotating light is cool, then three have to be really cool. And what bar owners did with high speed is like when the red light would go off, everybody sitting at the bar would go, "Wow, the cops are here!" You know, I mean, they got freaked out, so they put a bucket on top of it. You know, they couldn't fit three buckets on top of F-14, so it was a weird thing, but cool. And the next game I did there was Black Knight 2000. 5,703 units were sold. Art by Doug Watson. I don't know if he's here or not, but um, anyway, it was a unique game from, I don't know, I wrote a song on my guitar. It didn't have a bass line. I had lead tracks and I had a rhythm track, and uh, Brian Schmidt came in and started messing with the song, and he produced this great bass line that made all the difference. Thank you. Yeah, he rides again. Anyway, uh, it was really fun to make because I was writing the music. Also, there's five of us. Let's see, who are they? There were Dan Forden, and Stephanie Rogers. These are ladies. Glo Van Vlack, Brian Schmidt, and myself. We all sang the song in the middle, you know, and the chorus, whatever you want to say. I don't know. I think we were in our own studio for about 2 hours, and it was done. Nice. What I really love about that whole thing was that if there's a Black Knight 2000 playing in the noisiest arcade, it just cuts through. You can hear it. There's been a few sounds in some of my games that have done that, but that was long. I mean, that harmony, that's what, you know, traveled throughout the arcade, no matter what. Um, we had a carryover feature called Ransom. It's, it's like the original Black Knight, but a lot more, I don't know, a lot more fun with actually kind of a third level where you could lock balls. After that, roller games. People actually like it. Wow. I mean, I had no idea. Okay, this roller games was a game that hmm, it was a choice between American Gladiator and roller games. And it's like Roger Sharp helped us make the choice. And he's, you know, Roger Sharp was a fan of roller derby. Plus, their show looked exciting with a big wall and a ramp and a jump and stuff, like where, you know, and it was like definitely like kind of like wrestling. Anyway, we worked on the game for months and months, and about, I don't know, a month before we were done, the show went off the air. Just bombed. Talk about no wind in the sails. It just, ooh, that hurt. Um, but it didn't matter. We made the game. And it was pretty fun. And I don't know. I kind of invented this weird thing with a solenoid with its armature sticking out of the playfield and it would hold the ball in place like a golf tee. And I would go, "Don't flip!" And then the ball would arrive on the lock, and then it would say, "Flip!" And you would flip. um, that's all I can say about the game, except for it was programmed by a good guy. I can't remember his name, though. I'm looking right at him. His name is Mark Panaccio, and it, he was he was a good programmer, very good, and I thought we got along. It's like I started calling him with a southern accent, P Natch. It's kind of weird. And he had a science teacher that called him Mr. Panachko. He couldn't say Panacho. I mean, brain damage. Um. Anyway, it sold pretty good. I'm trying to find those numbers right now. In fact, I have a version of code up here that's a mess. Anyway, T2 was next. Terminator 2 was as soon as I found out that the movie was going to be made, because I love Terminator. I think the first Terminator Really? Hey, you want to run this? Do I? That was a good throw, man. Okay, anyway, Terminator. I wanted this movie because I loved the first Terminator movie. Uh, and a lot of people don't know this, but James Cameron was living in his car when he wrote the movie. He had nothing. He just had nothing. And Terminator turned out to be very successful. I think it was the best B movie ever made. Um, so I definitely wanted Terminator 2. And so we got it together to talk to him at Lightstorm Studios, and James Cameron was definitely interested. He invited us down to Lightstorm Studios, and we got to actually. I sat down and played games and stuff with Jim Cameron for 3 hours, along with Doug Watson and Dwight Sullivan. And we were playing with a little Terminator stop action model on his desk, and that thing that Sigourney Weaver walked in that looked like a forklift for aliens. Isn't that right? I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Um, anyway, he was a cool guy. He was great. He was also a gamer. He had game ideas, a big influence. And so we went back to make the pinball machine. And at the same time, we had a video division, and they were making a video game, a twin gun shooter. So they sent us dailies, everything that got recorded at that point, and also artifacts. I mean, we actually got the prop of the Terminator hand inside a glass tube, and the chip. And oh, speak of the devil, there he is, Dwight Sullivan, ladies and gentlemen, programmer of many great games. Anyway, talking about T2 and James Cameron. It sounds like a lie when we told the story. I don't know, but we really did get to spend 3 hours with him. And he wasn't king of the world then, but he was on his way. So T2 was a very special game. We had a dot matrix. We were going to be first with the dot matrix display in the back, but management asked us if it would be okay if Gilligan's Island got it first. So we said yeah. Um, I'm thinking Dots by Scott Slomiani and who else? I don't have the document up on here because I screwed it up. I'll try to get it up here again. Say it again. Oh, right, John Vogel. You're right, in the beginning. You know what? Come up here. I have made more games with Dwight Sullivan than any other programmer. We have sold, I bet, somewhere around 50,000 machines together.
Total is over 60,000.
Yeah, okay. Good to see you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up at the right moment.
Dun 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 dun. Oh,
Yeah,
dun dun dun. No.
it was this one is,
All right. Yeah.
but it was done with a file cabinet.
Yeah.
I mean, it sound a lot like that with an empty file cabinet drawer.
When Steve was bored, he would just come into my room, and I had a file cabinet off to the side. I don't know why. I never really stored anything in it, but he would just go dun 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 dun, with the file cabinet. I'm like, oh yeah, I get it.
It's a weird thing. So for T2, um, there was a number of Whitewoods, uh, a gun grip to be developed. That made it a lot of fun. And a cannon, a rotating cannon. First game with a rotating cannon, and
That was the big toy.
that was the
And
big
it was
one.
like was it ever done before? I mean, of course it was. Anytime you go, that was the first time 10 people at Expo will come up to you and go, no, 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 in 1975, right? But was the rotating cannon ever done before? Anybody know?
No,
Okay, right there.
it was not.
Right.
I mean, there were cannons on other places in the game, but they were all fixed.
Yeah, yeah,
And anyway, well, you could call a center shooter game, those old ones, but
yeah.
it wasn't a cannon. You didn't see it. You had, and you had no, well, it doesn't
And it
matter.
was a lot of fun. Like shooting those targets across the way.
Yeah, it was
T2
fun.
by
Yes.
today's standards, T2 is such a
Yeah,
simple game,
it
and it's
was.
still a lot of fun.
Yes. Uh, what else can I say about T2? T2 is like a breakthrough game in a lot of ways. Here's one thing. We sent well, Arnold Schwarzenegger was in the desert during those scenes that he was doing with Lyndall Hamilton and the little bastard. What was his name?
The little bastard. Yeah.
What was it?
I don't remember who you're talking about.
Somebody knows. Yeah. Anyway, he got in trouble, became a dope addict, all kinds of stuff after that movie.
It was not our fault though.
No, no. Anyway, we asked, we needed the sound, we needed Arnold Schwarzenegger's speech. So they had a sound trailer and they brought it down to the desert and he was angry about it. And, but he did all of our speech. And at the end, he said that one line and we didn't ask for it because we never thought we would get it, first of all, and does it belong in a
Can I
pinball
say it here?
machine?
Are we allowed to say it here?
And it's, fuck
Are
you, asshole.
Yeah.
So that was on the tape, and we put it in the game.
And he also said, "Get the stupid jackpot."
That's right.
He's like it. He didn't understand "Get the super jackpot." I think he really sincerely didn't understand "Get the super jackpot." He kept saying, "Get the stupid jackpot."
Everyone in this room thinks it was just like a pronunciation error.
It might have been.
It might have been, but I don't think
yeah.
so. I think he said,
Well,
I
no,
think
he
was
said
fed
the word
up. Get
stupid.
the stupid jackpot.
Yeah, I do too.
Anyway,
We heard the raw footage, raw tape.
so T2 sold 15,202 units. That's a big number, and it's like, especially at that point. Although there could be big runs there. We also had times at Williams when a real huge run wasn't possible because the market wasn't there.
Yeah.
So you're always dealing with that. The up and down of pinball generally, well, in the beginning it was just pinball and video, but then in the beginning, well, let's say when I was starting in pinball in 1974, there weren't many entertainment options. You went to the movies. There was no Walkman. There was no video games. There was,
Internet.
there was TV if you wanted. If you want to play a game, you had to play pinball. And, so we ended up selling a lot more machines in that era. You mind if I find this document? Talk more about T2, please. I gotta find this.
Are you talking about Getaway too, or no?
I got no mouse.
What are you doing?
Oh, the next.
So you started Getaway, right?
Yes.
And then like he had Getaway under beginning, and I'm working on Riverboat Gambler, and I don't know anything about Getaway. He's just drawings in his room, and then they get the opportunity to do T2. They go out and seek James Cameron, and I'm still oblivious. I'm not on the team yet. And I go on vacation after doing Riverboat Gambler, and I come back, and I'm told I'm going to do Riverboat. I told I'm going to do T2.
Yeah.
And we you put Getaway on the shelf, and then we did T2, and then we did Getaway back to back at back to back like shows in Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Getaway was a good hit.
Getaway.
It ran like 13,500 something.
Yes. Almost sight unseen. At the Vegas show, because it's from the same team that brought you Terminator 2, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So let's go to Getaway. Getaway played LaGrange. It had a gear shift on it. A similar play field, but the big feature was the supercharger. A magnetic cycling unit. I used it a few times since then, but not that configuration. I don't know, made the game exciting, and what could you say? I don't know.
Getaway's fun.
Yeah, it's like compelling, and it's like what I like about Getaway is generally a short playing game because I don't know why. It just, I mean, if I'm going to play you in a game, it generally goes by very quickly.
Because it had a lot of the Highspeed DNA, and DNA is a fast playing game.
Yeah.
I mean, Highspeed is a fast playing game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Highspeed would make like $500 before my time, but I grew up on Highspeed. So, fun fact, Highspeed is the game that got me into pinball. So then the opportunity to do Getaway was a dream.
So I'm not going to go into many more games, but the next game is Star Trek: The Next Generation. I have 5 minutes left, folks. I'm going to have to continue this next year. Dwight also Dwight also was on the Star Trek team, and
We
you
were
know,
all so into Star Trek.
yeah,
Yeah, me, you, and Greg, and
yeah.
Dan Ford.
Oh, everybody.
Yeah.
It was a great adventure,
I,
and
I think I think we succeeded at capturing that theme really, really well.
oh, totally.
Yeah.
And another thing that is not going to happen. Thanks. Another thing that's not going to ever happen again is getting like the whole crew of a production to speak on a pinball machine.
7 actors.
That was magic, and we sat in a room with Greg and Dan Ford and
Right.
other people putting together scripts,
Yeah.
and it was really fun. It just was great. And,
Steve locked us in a Steve locked us in a room for like 3 days, and made us write script.
yeah, but you liked it.
I did.
I did too. It's a great time. Anyway, I got 5 minutes, so I can take some questions. We'll continue this next year. Yes, sir. Hey, Dwight.
Okay, fine.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
And for
All right,
Dwight,
question. Yes, Jim.
about the home ROM
Yeah.
from
Star Trek.
yeah.
So everybody, so Star Trek. So this is back in the day, right? Everybody, all of the actors, like just said yes to doing VO for us. Today it's a huge rigmarole.
But Brent Spiner wanted 2 games, one for his manager.
Oh, so that was probably the manager, because you can't take 10% of a game,
Yeah.
because right? I think that's the problem. But the home ROMs, I'm not sure what your question is. Did you get to finish it? I mean, I have lots to say, but
Explain like how they
yeah.
how it
So
happened.
all the actors did. We let them do additional speech that we were going to put in Easter eggs just for their game, their personal game, and that was sort of part of the incentive for them. So they all did. Like everyone gave like and they didn't really understand what an Easter egg was. I think some of them might have understood it better than others, but they all gave us special speech calls to put in their game.
to like their family, I think.
Right, like depending on the actor or actress, they said special things for their kids or whatnot.
John Delancey, I remember him saying butthead, like it was 2 words. He didn't know how to say butthead. There were other weird things. I made a mistake on that when I said space, the final frontier, and I blew the rest of it. And Patrick Stewart is reading it on the tape, and he's going, space, the final frontier. Oh, a grave error. That's recorded on there. Yeah, it was. Oh, God.
Patrick Stewart was awesome.
Anyway, he corrected it.
All hands prepare for multi-ball.
And he corrected a lot of our speech and made it so much more
Oh yeah,
authentic.
so did Geordie LaForge. Geordie LaForge would read the script and he'd say, Geordie wouldn't say this. He he would rewrite our script because it wouldn't be lines that Geordie would say.
Yeah, it was great. All right, I could take some questions. Okay. God, that was reluctant. Like you don't really wanna.
We're not paying you.
So, Stern's AC/DC. You were the announcer on that machine.
Can you hear that?
AC/DC. Were you the announcer on AC/DC?
To tell you the truth, I don't remember.
Well,
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know if I did any speech there.
It was you and Lyman, right? You and Lyman made AC/DC.
Yeah, but we didn't do speech. It's like,
Okay.
maybe, I did do speech on AC/DC.
well, if it was you, it was the most encouragement I've heard you offer on any pinball machine. Usually, it's just all about the taunting.
I didn't hear that.
He says usually you're all about the taunting.
All about
Like
what?
taunting.
Oh, taunting?
Yeah, like
Well, sometimes.
give me your money.
Depends on the game.
No way.
He does me better than me. Next question. We're behind schedule now. If there aren't any, we're good. Thank you very much for having me. Thanks to Dwight for showing up.